On January 10, 2015, a man sat on the windowsill of the Four Seasons Hotel in New York, USA, and made a clanging vow: "From this day forward, I have only one mission for the rest of my life: to exterminate the Chinese Communist Party." Since then, Miles Guo, a billionaire businessman from China, has embarked on an extraordinary whistleblow movement that has changed the world landscape and will change the course of human development. Miles Guo was born on May 10, 1970, in Zikaoying Village, Gucheng Town, Liaocheng City, Shandong Province, China. His grandfather was an Tibetan orphan. His father was labeled as a rightist during the Cultural Revolution, and was sent down to Dalingzi Village, Hongqiling Town, Jilin City, Jilin Province, China, to work as a laborer. His mother was a typical traditional Chinese housewife who was illiterate but righteous and straightforward and of the highest moral character. Miles is the seventh of 8 siblings. He married to Qingzhiyu, and have a son, Chang Guo, and a daughter, Mei Guo. Coming from a humble background, Miles grew up witnessing the ups and downs of life. His childhood experiences gave him strong insight, high emotional intelligence, and a character that is not willing to lose, accept fate, believe in superstitions, be rigid, or give up. All of which destined his life to be legendary. The Fourth Movement, which erupted in 1989, was the culmination of the Chinese people's quest for a democratic system. It was also a turning point in his life. At that time, with a heart full of passion, Miles sold his only valuable asset, a motorcycle, to support the student movement. As a result, he was arrested by the Chinese regime and sent to a detention center in Qingfeng. His arrest for participating in the June 4th movement is now seen as a symbol of courage and persistence in pursuing ideals. This arrest brought together all the brave warriors of that time. It was this arrest that brought Miles into contact with the few fighters left in China, and his thinking was greatly elevated. He realized that his life mission was to destroy the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and the dark forces it represented. After his release from prison, Miles became a successful entrepreneur, traveling the world and constantly improving himself. He completed a series of landmark comprehensive projects, such as the Yuda International Trade Building in Zhengzhou, the Pangus 7-star Hotel in Beijing, and the Jinquan Plaza, and became an important force behind the scenes of the 2008 Beijing Olympics. As a successful businessman, he had an influence on the high-level officials of the CCP and cooperated with the reformist faction within the party, hoping to achieve China's social democratization through peaceful means. However, Miles experienced the brutal power struggle within the CCP. The infighting among high-level officials around the personnel arrangements before and after the 18th National Congress of the party in 2012 became white-hot. Behind the series of major cases such as Wang Lijun, Bo Xilai, Zhou Yongkang, Ling Plan, Su Kaiho, Guo Boxiong, etc., are the South Putuo conspiracies of Jiang Zemin's faction. With the emergence of a new generation of kleptocrats, it is no longer possible to peacefully democratize Chinese society by relying on the enlightened faction of the party to reform itself. Miles was caught in the middle of this power struggle and became the victim of it. His business empire was stripped away overnight, but he managed to flee China and settled in Manhattan after several twists and turns. Since then, he began to conceive a new strategy to democratize China, which was to make the US aware of the threat of the CCP, and to divide and disintegrate the CCP internally under external pressure. Starting in early 2017, Miles started whistleblowing through live streaming on social media platforms, calling out to those within the Chinese communist system, laying groundwork and hints for future major events, and awakening people from all walks of life to join the cause of justice, with the goal of ending the evil regime of the CCP in a peaceful manner. On July 3, 2018, he announced the establishment of the Rule of Law Foundation and Rule of Law Society. Through his whistleblowing, Miles gradually exposed the roots of the CCP and other dark forces throughout human history. The Red families of the CCP usurped the state power and enslaved the Chinese people with the national machinery, exporting corruption worldwide and seeking military expanding under disguise, with an ambition to control the entire world. The whistleblower movement revealed many evil plans of the CCP, such as the Pandora's Box, the Southern Putuo Plan, the 3F Plan, the 13579 Plan, the Double Dragon Plan, and the BGY, blackmailing, bribery and honey trapping, schemes, and exposed the various atrocities committed by the CCP against the Chinese people over the past 70 years, such as the land reform movement, the 3 anti- and 5 anti-movements, the Cultural Revolution, and the movement of sending educated youth to the countryside, as well as the massacre of nearly 100 million Chinese people during the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests and crackdown. As followers of the whistleblower movement exploded in a short period of time, the CCP's top brass began to feel concerned about their crimes. Huge overseas assets and illegitimate children were revealed. They have continuously sent people to try to capture, repatriate, kidnap, and even assassinate Miles Guo. The CCP even issued a red notice and a blue notice for him through Interpol, and a series of transnational efforts, such as the illegal lobbying for his deportation through Bruno Wu, Jack Ma, Steve Wynn, Joe Low, and Elliot Broidy, as well as the lobbying through high-ranking CCP officials Liu Yanping and Sun Lijun. Miles fought back by using these cases to expose the CCP's long-term infiltration of the American judicial, political, and business sectors. The Voice of America broadcast cut-off incident on April 19, 2017, as well as the Hudson Institute incident, completely confirms the deep penetration of the CCP within the U.S. government. Since the rise of the whistleblower movement, many Chinese fake and pseudo-democratic figures have emerged, leading to dozens of lawsuits simultaneously. Many veteran democratic exiles have gradually exposed the nature of CCP spies and increased the recognition of overseas Chinese people, gaining a deeper understanding of the CCP's underground activities. In the second half of 2019, Beijing unilaterally tore up the Sino-British Joint Declaration and forcibly passed the extradition law in Hong Kong, leading to a general outbreak of social conflicts. The peaceful demonstrations of Hong Kong people in the anti-extradition law movement encountered violent repression by the CCP, leading to a huge humanitarian disaster. The CCP then became increasingly demonic, eventually opened Pandora's box and released its lab-manufactured bioweapon, the CCP virus, aka COVID-19, which in turn led to the virus outbreak in Wuhan by the end of 2019. Instead of trying to contain the virus outbreak, the CCP restricted people in Wuhan from traveling to other parts of China, but deliberately allowing them flying overseas, which triggered the unprecedented global pandemic, bringing human society to the brink of destruction. On June 4, 2020, Miles Guo and Steve Bannon announced the establishment of the new Federal State of China, NFSC, and published the NFSC Declaration. They also tirelessly promoted the concept that the CCP is not equal to the Chinese people worldwide, with the hope of preventing the occurrence of malignant anti-Chinese and anti-Asian discrimination events. Through the whistleblower movement, Miles Guo launched a global movement to take down the CCP, fundamentally changing the course of human society's development. The NFSC he co-founded and a series of G-series business ecosystems he established, uniting awakened righteous Chinese people and international friends worldwide, laying the foundation for a new China without the CCP and pointing the way for a secure, civilized, and positive future for Chinese people worldwide.